I know you're listening. You're here because something isn't right. Something feels twisted, upside down. Things don't add up. Hello, human. Welcome to our twisted universe. In this episode, subscriber Jay Albright relates a haunting experience he endured, with co-host Bob from Exit the Matrix, who has an equally scary account.
Hi, and welcome to our Twisted Universe. Today we're going to be talking with Bob from Exit the Matrix, and we have Jay Albright. He is a survivor of a haunted house and possible demonic attacks. Hi, Jay. Hi, Bob.
How's it going, guys?
So, Jay, we ran across you on Facebook, and you had quite the story to share about some pretty heavy-duty experiences you had. We brought you on today. I was wondering if you could share your story with us.
Good, yeah. My roommate, who's my brother from another mother, if I might say that, he was out fishing with his buddy. I guess he saw an apparition of a past friend in the window of his buddy's house, just standing there.
That's unusual.
It is unusual, yeah. But yeah, it was kind of weird because he had gotten some paintings that belonged to this guy, and as he was leaving his buddy's house, my roommate had egged the ghost friend on to get in the car and go home with him. But it was, he just thought nothing of it. And must have been a couple of days later, things started happening in the house. Like the lights started flickering out of nowhere. It was really windy outside for a couple of days. Thought that had something to do with it. We were trying to figure out what it was because the lights would flicker like it was like it was a really bad connection, and it would like get on low power, and then it would shut off at certain times when I would turn a TV on or something. It would just go out for 10 minutes up to an hour. And me and my roommate were sitting in my room here, and the lights were off, and they just turned back on. So I go to turn my TV on. Yeah, I'm just sitting here for an hour, and the lights just turn back on out of nowhere. So I go to turn my TV on, and the lights turn back off. Now my roommate takes his phone out. He's waiting for a second. He hits the record button. Instantly, the lights turn on. And you can't see it on the phone because the phone is on a delay. So we're trying to. It's so crazy that this is happening.
Were you scared at the time?
What's that?
Were you scared, or were you more like, oh, this is weird?
I wasn't scared at all. I was completely at ease. But my roommate was literally terrified. He's talking about, I'll believe in Jesus and this and that if we just, get rid of this thing. And I don't know what's going on. I'm hearing banging noises on the ceiling at night. And a couple of days later, we were standing outside waiting for, he had called a friend who was going to come and sage the house because we thought it was a demonic possession. So we stood outside waiting for this person, and his window was open upstairs. He lives upstairs in a two-story house. So we had the window open, and he's just talking about it. And then we heard this horrifying laugh come out of the room. And I'm like, did you hear that?
That's terrible.
Yeah. I'm like, where did that come from? Was that the neighbor? And he's pointing at this window. I'm like, holy crap, it came from there? Holy cow. So the person, I don't know what you call her, a medium, that's what she was. She gets here, she can definitely feel something inside the house. The minute she walks in, she goes upstairs and she feels that feeling is stronger, like a, I don't know, like a negative feeling, electrical type of feeling or whatever. And she starts saging. She lights some sage and starts saging the house. And whatever it is, keeps putting the sage out. But there are a couple of times that they keep putting the sage out. She starts asking questions like, what do you want? Who are you? And this person gives her name, says he just wants to leave. So she tells him that he can leave. And so everything seems fine after that. Then she leaves and the lights flicker and go out again.
Oh, jeez.
So she comes back. Yeah, I don't know. So he calls her back. I'm like, oh, you're back. She's like, yeah, he called me. So she comes back and we start saging the house again. But she can't find anything or feel anything. And then she sees the clock and she's like, oh, it's 12:21. She goes on her phone and looks that up. 12:21. That's not my message. My message was 12:22, the next number. So what happened after that? Let me think for a minute here. If you have any questions, you can ask away.
So it seems like the first one might have been your friend that had passed, and he might have been messing with you, but now it's starting to sound a little bit more complex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking myself. Now where was I? Oh, the medium. Yeah, after she left, it was a week. It went on for another week. So I live with my brother from another mother, and then there's two other roommates that live on the main floor. And for some reason, they left town during all of this. And it's weird because they never just leave town. And they came back for a day during all of it when like everything was like normalized. There was one point where the lights weren't flickering and they were here. And then the next day they left and then it started happening again.
Hmm.
And this was 3 or 4 days after the apparition sighting. And that was the day he saw that ghost was on a Friday, and medium came on Tuesday. Roommates came back on Wednesday and then left Thursday. And then it started happening again.
Did you feel anything like different in the house besides just the physical lights? I mean, were you feeling anything
No,
creepy?
no, I didn't feel a thing, nothing. But the thing is before all this happened, before I quit this job, I was getting signs that angels were heading my way.
Well, it sounds, Jay, like you're a psychic medium. I know it's hard to
Is that
understand.
right?
Yeah, I mean, there's different levels of being a medium, you know what I mean? Like if you can
No,
get
I had no
message
idea.
from spirit. Some mediums are mediums that like talk to dead people. Some mediums are mediums that get message from spirit. It sounds like you got a lot of messages.
I do get a lot of messages every day.
Yeah.
Today, before this interview, I got 444, I got 711, 333, like all in the span of an hour. It's weird because I got clocks in here that are off on the time and they show me the messages too. It's kind of weird.
Have you noticed that, Bob? Are you getting the repeating numbers?
Oh yeah, with me it's always 1111 and 111.
Yes, sir. Means
Pretty
you're on the
much
right
every
path.
day.
Somebody
Whatever
said,
you're doing it right.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you stop and pay attention to what you're doing when you see them, maybe like that's a message as well, like confirmation.
Yeah. If you're thinking about something or doing something or whatever, and they show you the message, it probably has something to do with it. That's what I've gathered. Yep. Absolutely.
So you feel like
But all week,
the woman leading up to everything, she kind of maybe she had an attachment. It's hard to say. And all of a sudden you start having
it is hard to say, yeah.
supernatural experiences. But it's
Yeah.
like God had your back and was kind of staying with you and sending angels and giving you messages. What ended up happening with your haunting?
It just ended. No,
Yeah.
I'm constantly doing research, so I'll find out eventually.
We lived in a very, very haunted house, and Joe was a skeptic.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Oh, really?
He knew all along. He just, always
like,
said,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. And one day I was talking with my daughter, and we're like, yes, this house is haunted. And he's like, no, it's not. And all of a sudden, the radio turned on by itself.
Holy moly!
No, it's not. Oh,
Yeah, that's
it
actually
is.
And then we like laughed really hard because we've been telling him, this house is haunted like crazy. And yeah, he was just pulling our leg the whole time. He
Yeah,
heard it too.
I heard and saw the stuff, but I wouldn't tell them that.
That was actually the first time I've experienced anything like that. It's kind of weird.
It is.
Yeah,
And nothing ever like that happened in this house before.
How about you, Bob? Have you experienced hauntings?
oh yeah. Pretty intense haunting actually. When I was in middle school, about 6th grade, we had where my parents' original house was. We had a next door neighbor, really cool guy. He was in like his early 30s. Friends with my dad. They used to talk every now and then and have a beer together. And my dad would always railroad me into mowing his lawn all the time. And so he was pretty cool. I remember one time I mowed his lawn. He gave me like his change jar. He had like one of those giant
Wow.
like pickle jars, just full with change. And in fact, I still have that jar to this day. But unfortunately, he found out his girlfriend was cheating on him, and he ended up committing suicide with a shotgun.
Oh.
And
Jeez.
I was at school at the time, but my dad was home, and he said he heard he heard a gun go off, but he didn't know where it was because our neighborhood was surrounded by fields, and it could have been a farmer out there, shooting at a coyote or something, messing around out there. So, he didn't think anything of it until I guess a little later that day. That guy's one of our other neighbors, they worked together. He went to his house to pick him up for work, and he wasn't answering the door, and the door was unlocked though. So he ended up going in there, and he found him, in the back room in his bedroom. Pretty gruesome sight, you can imagine. And so right a little time after that, I got home from school, and there was cops and everything there. And so our parents kept us in the house. We didn't, we were, try to keep us away from, seeing what was going on. But anyways, not too long after that, it was probably 2 or 3 days after that, we started having tons of paranormal activity on a regular basis. I remember very distinctly one night, I was, me and my brother, we shared a bedroom, and we had like an old bunk bed, but our parents, like took it apart, and they were separated. We had a TV in the middle. And so this one night I woke up, and I turn over and I look between like our beds, like right where the TV was, and somebody was just kneeling, right there between our beds. And it was like a black shadow of somebody in it kneeling, and very distinct though, from like the actual like darkness in the room. And I just remember like kind of like looking back up at the ceiling and saying like, geez, this has got to be like an after image from a dream or something. There's no way this is real. And then I turn and I look again, and this time the person there kneeling like turns and looks right at me. And man, I freaked out. I ran and jumped off the end of my bed, went into the bathroom, and I was like yelling for my parents and stuff. That really kicked it off. I mean, from then on, we had, I mean, all the time we had activity. We had a little storage room next to our bedroom, and that led out to the, the driveway for our place. And that back door was typically always locked. And unless my dad came home from work, sometimes instead of going around the front of the house, he would come in through that back door, through our bedroom. Well, there were a few times me and my brother would be playing like the Nintendo or something in our room, and all of a sudden that back door would open and slam shut, and we would just expect to see my dad, and there'd be nobody there. So, I mean, this happened all the time. We'd go check the door, and it was locked. So,
Wow.
Holy
Uh,
moly.
yeah, there's so many things happen. I mean, this one's kind of funny, but it's kind of messed up. One day, my brother and we got home from school, and we had some rabbits in a rabbit hutch behind our house, and that was one of our chores. We always had to go take care of the rabbits before we came in. Well, my brother was like, "Oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go to the bathroom," and so he ran in the house and he left me take care of the rabbits. So I'm out there feeding the rabbits and stuff, and all of a sudden he comes outside and he's just like bawling. I mean, like crazy, and I'm like, "What's going on, Chris?" And he's like, "I was in the bathroom and I was taking a crap." And Mike was looking in the mirror at me. That was the neighbor that, committed
Ah.
Oh,
suicide.
jeez.
Yeah. So I just remember, I mean, just tons of stuff happened, but my parents knew that something was going on, but whenever we would tell them all this stuff going on, they would always just blow it off and be like, "Oh, you guys are just imagining it, there's nothing going on." But
Mhm.
after we ended up moving out of that place, my parents bought their first house after that. That was a rental, and finally after we moved, they admitted to us. They're like, "Yeah, our place was totally haunted. Mike was visiting our place all the time." But it was so bad. I mean, I would sleep under my covers every night because you would always see that shadow in our room all the time. And so, I mean, that was just one of my experiences with the paranormal. But as a kid, that was definitely left an imprint on my mind. And it's kind of weird to. This was kind of a little like side thing after that. After we moved out, we had a neighbor on the other side of this place, and I guess he had chronic pain, really, really bad. And so I guess like 6 months after we moved out, he ended up hanging himself.
Oh my gosh.
So I wouldn't even want to know like what's going on with those three places now, because I mean, just you know, so much tragedy there, and just like in the vicinity of three homes. But
Jeez.
so yeah. Anyways,
Sounds like you guys got out just in the nick of time there.
oh yeah, I don't think he really ever meant harm. I just
Right.
think he was lost. And he was a young guy, and he took his life, and he just hadn't moved on. Moved on to the light, or well, I guess whatever you think of, happens after that. Um, but I do remember as a kid, praying, for God to let him like go into the light, let him like go home, go to heaven, and to be able to like leave this world, because he was, obviously kind of trapped in between.
Yeah.
Uh, but you know, that's kind of one of those early experiences that kind of led me to where I am now. I've always researched the paranormal and things like that, and it was because of experiences like that I had. That you know a lot of people scoff when they hear stories,
Yeah.
like what Jay just told, or what I'm talking about, or what you guys were talking about. Because if you don't experience it, it just seems like a joke, like just a made up
Yeah,
story. But
absolutely.
when you actually go through that, it's something totally different. And when you actually see the fact that somebody that was literally, living, you know, weeks before that, and you see their spirit in your room on a regular basis after they commit suicide, then you definitely at that point at least know that there's some kind of life after death, or at least an existence after death, you know?
Something, yeah.
Mhm.
Or there is no
So,
death.
Just
yeah,
we,
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, you're just trading one
we
soup for another, I
yeah, we
guess.
just change state, kind of like water going to, from a liquid to a gas. You're just changing to a different form, just
That's
transitioning.
something I never thought about.
Um,
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, you were a kid and you were scared, but if I saw a shadow like that in my room right now as an adult, I'd have to grab my skin and put it back on before I ran in the bathroom to hide, because that's scare the crap out of me too.
I don't really get I don't really get that creeped out. I don't know why, just because, we lived in a haunted house for so long and
Yeah.
I've always had some abilities, but like last night I saw a blue light on my pillow. It was so bright it was like a laser coming off my pillow. And I was like, you're waking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not happy. I don't care about your little blue light. And then I get back into bed and my foot's out of the cover. And then I felt 3 taps on my foot. And I was like, really?
Holy moly.
Yeah, but
Wow.
I'm more
Yeah,
annoyed.
that would get me up and turn the lights on, let me tell you.
It doesn't scare me. I just, I'm more annoyed. Like, don't wake me up. And don't touch me. No touchy.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So, if that happens, all I do is I call in the angels, and if it's a spirit that's aligned
Absolutely.
with Christ, I don't care if it's around, but if it's not aligned with Christ, I don't want it anywhere near me.
Yeah, it's got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of my rule of
Absolutely.
thumb. Because who knows who it is, right? You don't know. Or what? I don't know. As long as it's good, I don't care, but don't touch me.
Right.
Yeah. I've kind of questioned sometimes, just thinking back to that experience, because it was like a black shadow, you hear about shadow people and all that.
Mhm.
And I kind of wonder if when you pass away, at least in this existence, and your consciousness, your spirit moves on, I kind of wonder if you shed, you know, the negative energy that you had built up while you were in this third dimension. And I kind of wonder if sometimes, apparitions, and or at least maybe shadow people can be maybe that negative that you're shedding off, because maybe in the next dimension you move on to, you can't bring that with you, you
Right.
know? And and I think everybody realizes in this life, you've always got the proverbial, angel on one shoulder and the little devil on the other shoulder, which, it's basically in your mind. You've always got that negative side of yourself and that positive side. And, you're always making decisions between those two sides. But perhaps in certain dimensions, that dark side's not allowed to come with,
You know, that's
so,
interesting, because
It is.
a lot of talk with the whole 3D to 5D ascension, that 3D creatures that their vibration is in the 3D can't get to the higher vibrational dimensions. And so I wonder, if you develop a lot, like you're saying, you develop a lot of dark attachments, you not only shed your 3D physical body, but you shed your 3D energetic body too when you pass over. And so you got something there with the shadow people. That might be that energetic aspect of the person left behind that couldn't ascend.
hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. Like the whole time you were talking, Bob, I was thinking, I wonder if it's like a dark entity that's like attached to the land that was kind of going in between the houses. They can influence people to do some pretty bad stuff too.
Yeah, that's, some that I never really thought about. It's could be a possibility, that
They
maybe
trick too, because they could
Yeah.
show
yeah,
you, oh, it's just the friendly neighbor, but it could be something else. That's one possibility for sure.
yeah. Because it
Yeah.
was definitely, it wasn't like a whitish, misty apparition. It was if like you were in your room in the middle of the night, and somebody was like in your room walking around or kneeling or just in there, and you could see that person in the dark, you could see their shadow, and you could tell that it had like form and stuff to it. It was like that.
Hmm.
Darker
Just
than
as
the
if they're,
dark room.
yeah.
That's a trip. You should think on that. I'd like to hear a follow up on that one. Yeah.
I'm always open up to new knowledge and things, and I'm always, like I said, I'm always doing research. And now I heard Bob's story. I'm going to start researching a little more into that because he got my attention with that one. So.
Oh, Bob's a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah. It touches on a lot of interesting
Awesome. Those are the
topics.
kind of people I like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well,
Bob,
it's
is there-
sometimes it's those experiences though that get people to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Same with somebody that sees a UFO.
Oh, I'm trying to do, man.
Yeah, that has some kind of like a deep religious experience or a visions or psychic things happen to them. I mean, it can be different you know for different people, but it's sometimes you need a catalyst, I guess, that gets you kind of out of just that normal routine that we all get caught up in.
Comfort zone, yeah.
The
Absolutely.
work, the work, eat, sleep mentality, and that whole rabbit or that whole rat race. So
Yeah. Keep the veil lifted.
Yeah, exactly.
That routine is the veil that you get into that complacence of that eat, sleep, work thing, and you lose sight of what's going on around you, and that sensitivity to it as well, to recognize it.
For sure.
So, hey Jay, I had a question for you. So, I mean, did
What's that?
you ever feel threatened by it? I mean, did you ever did it ever touch you or anything like that? I know a lot of people that do come under spiritual attacks, especially like by a dark entity. They can actually get physical scratches on them and stuff. I've seen a lot of that with a lot of the ghost hunting shows and all that, where an apparition that or a dark entity that really does mean harm can actually do a physical harm to somebody.
Now that I think about it, I didn't have any terrifying feelings while it was happening, or fear or anything like that. But after everything had happened and before I had woke up and started praising, I had fallen asleep the day before, like in the middle of the daytime, and I had a dream. And I haven't dreamed in years and years and years. And I had this terrifying dream that there was this dark shadow of a figure in my room, this room I'm in now, and he was literally dragging me off of my bed by my feet. I can feel it. It was like so real, so real, and I was screaming and hollering for help. And the minute I screamed for my guardian angels to help me, I woke up like that second, and I still can't make sense of it. I don't know what that was or what. But it was just a shadow figure that was all black.
That reminds me. Have you guys heard about the what's his name? I know they did the movie kind of based on it, The Tall Man, or the Slender Man, but it was
Slender
based
Man.
off of the urban myth about the shadow guy that has the big old hat, the Hat Man. Have you guys heard about that before?
I think so.
I have
But
definitely heard about it, but I've never really dug into it. It's I don't know if it's so much urban legend or, but I do believe that there are the dark figures. I mean, that's been wildly reported. So, yeah, there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah, I mean, apparently this is one that people, like thousands of people have seen the same entity, and it's like this really tall guy, kind of in like, I don't know, I guess almost old Western gear, like with the trench coat and a big, almost like one of those huge cowboy hats, and from like the late 1800s. And I guess apparently this, the Hat Man has been seen by just people all over the world, described down to the T, exact same thing. And so, it's kind of makes you, wonder if there are certain entities that have, been able to kind of draw enough energy, either siphon it off people or, like Jay was talking about the lights flickering a lot and all that. They say a lot of times, like, entities, poltergeists especially, like will draw power. It helps them manifest by drawing energy and power from electrical devices or stuff like that. So you see a
Outlets,
lot
yeah.
of those ghost hunting
Appliances.
shows where like will literally drain their batteries on their cameras and their
Mhm.
flashlights, all that. So
Right. And usually
kinda
right before
interesting how
some
you're mentioning that.
profound thing happens too.
You know.
It sounds like Jay got help just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I did. It's terrifying, let me tell you.
Well, I mean, if the angel's on your side, you don't have anything to worry about.
Absolutely.
For
I'm
sure.
thankful.
Yeah, we've received help from angels on several occasions, thankfully.
Absolutely. Well, it
Excellent.
sounds like we're going to bring this to a close. Thank you for sharing your stories, both of you. That was
Yeah.
incredible and really interesting. I'd love to do a deeper dive on the Hat Man, Slender Man, or whatever you call him.
Both.
Is it
Yeah,
the
I mean, I
same?
guess the Slender Man, they came up with the idea for that game originally, and I believe off of the Hat Man, and like the shadow people, and of course it spun into a movie and all that. So pretty interesting.
I have to check that out.
Indeed, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I'll know more by tomorrow.
Just don't watch it tonight.
No.
Wait
I'll
till
know more
morning.
tomorrow, I should say, not by tomorrow.
I'm
Tomorrow.
a chicken.
Tomorrow
Just
afternoon.
a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Bob, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, so hey guys, I mean, I appreciate you guys putting this together, Joe and Christy, and it was nice talking to you, Jay. And
Pleasure, Bob.
yeah, definitely. I guess I don't really have much else to say. It's Ben, we got to do this some more, you guys. Maybe have Jay on again, sometime if you there's
Absolutely.
any other
I wouldn't mind.
things you can dig up on that and remember. It was a pretty interesting story. So
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank-
Thanks for having me, guys. Nice meeting y'all.
Yeah. Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
see you
Bye.
guys.